was cool.
That's nice.
Welcome. There are 1,000 no's for every yes, probably something everybody in this room knows all too well. I'm thrilled to be here. I'm Rebecca Jarvis here with Ron Johnson, and we will get to questions. If you have any questions in the audience towards the end of this conversation, I'll bring you guys in. So if there's something burning, we want to make sure we get to that. I want to start, Ron, with the last year, because you were here a year ago and Joy was a relatively young company at that time, and I wonder, of all the challenges that you have faced in this last year, what's been the biggest one and how did you overcome that challenge?
That's a good question. Thank you for having me here again. A lot of people know what Enjoy is, but I'll just give a quick summary then on the question. Our thesis is that we're in the early days of online commerce. You know, it really started 20 years ago with Amazon, eBay, all these companies, but most have been focused on digital convenience. And the world of physical stores where I'm from, if you start a retail strategy, you're either going to start low price convenience, think of Target or 7-Eleven, whatever, or you're going to be a higher price point, higher quality, higher touch experience. Think of an Apple store or a Nordstrom. But in the world of online shopping today, it's mainly about convenience. It's how do I order efficiently and get it delivered to me quickly. And so Enjoy is trying to be a personal commerce platform where we deliver a new experience when you buy online. But we shift location from where you buy to where you use a product. And so like in our consumer electronics, we're in your home. So if we're in your home, we can set up that product, connect it to your wireless, do all that stuff. And fortunately, we can do it all for free. You know, we can deliver a product to your wherever you want in as fast as 4 hours for the same price that it takes Amazon to ship you a product, for the same price it takes Best Buy to deliver a product, or the Apple Store. So it's freehand delivery of consumer electronics whenever, wherever you want. That's what we do. Now, to your question, you know, we are 16 months into it. A year ago, we were 4 months into it. That means we're still really young and learning. So to put in perspective, we are now in 8 cities. At 16 months, Uber was in 7 cities. They spent their first year in San Francisco, and then, as you know, they reached out to 6 cities to prove their model. That doesn't mean we're as good or high performing as Uber, but we're learning at a similar pace. So we're in a high learning mode. But the biggest challenge isn't what we thought it'd be. We thought it'd be hard to find great people. That's been easy. There are so many young people that want to work in a mobile environment, that want freedom, that want to work for a startup. Finding people has been easy. We thought it'd be hard to deliver great experiences consistently. It's been easy, actually. We, out of every 100 experiences we deliver, we get our top score 99 times. And the only time we fall short is when there's kind of a problem like activating a phone or a product doesn't work. But it's been easy to deliver an experience. We actually can deliver products a lot faster than we imagined. You know, 50% of the time when you order, we're at your choice of location within 4 hours, which is pretty amazing. We thought it'd be next day or who knows, but people want things now. The hard part is convincing people that it's real.
What's the catch?
Well, people all think it's too good to be true. How could you, for free, hand deliver a product to me anywhere I want? No. And so it's the whole, all of the promotions of, you know, that are perceived as spam. No matter what we do, it's like, oh, it can't be. You know, so it's really convincing people of communicating what Enjoy is. And then the second thing is why you'd want it. Because a lot of people have been told forever, you know, setting up a product's easy. You know, Apple, where I work, you know, easy to set up an Apple product. Well, the reality is, you know, you could probably figure it out, but it takes time. You know, the average iPhone to set up, if you got your new iPhone tomorrow, it's 67 separate steps. And it takes about 22 minutes if you do it on your own. We model this stuff. You know, on the Apple Watch, they've got 48 minutes of video on things you do to set up your watch, you know. But it's not about the setup. It's also about, what do I really want to do? What's new? What is this new home button? What does haptic touch mean? What does that do? How do I take these new photos with that dual camera? What is the secret? What are the apps that are really new and exciting and relevant? So what we try to do is set up quickly so we can spend time on helping you fall in love with your product. But the challenge is convincing people that they need that. Because most people, well, no, it's fine, just ship it to me. So it's too good to be true. Why would I want to have this product?
And what's the most popular product right now?
Our most popular products are smartphones. The other thing about Enjoy, we decided a long time ago that it's really hard to build an e-commerce company. So in some ways you think about we're an e-commerce strategy, but most haven't worked because it's expensive to acquire customers. Now if you're in a category where there's a lot of frequency, it might be worth it because I'll acquire them and next week they'll buy again and again and again. In electronics, you don't buy as frequently. So we concluded we're not going to pay money to acquire customers. We're going to get paid to acquire customers. So that's what we do. So we get paid $100 every time we acquire a customer. And we do that by integrating with our partners. So Enjoy, most people find Enjoy on a partner website. So if you go to AT&T.com, you'll see, we can hand deliver and set up your product, and all you do is pick it. Then our systems all connect with AT&T, and we deliver the experience. The hope then, once they have a great experience, they'll enjoy again. That make sense?
Yes.
And so that's what we're trying to do, and we now are in the process of being put on a myriad of websites, where it'll help the partners bypass retail. If that makes sense? Because we're cheaper than a physical store. If someone sells a product through Best Buy, the cost of having us deliver for them is less expensive for the products we offer than it is to sell through Best Buy. But if you think about it, once someone goes to Best Buy, only bad things happen. And what I mean by that facetiously, if you're Sonos, for example, and you got a music system, if someone says, I'll find a store and go to Best Buy, they walk into Best Buy, well, Sonos will be presented with Bose and the new Beats and all these other things, and there's a chance that someone says, well, let me listen to a different speaker system. So obviously, if you can take someone from their home page where a customer's interested directly to the home without friction at a lower cost, that's going to maximize the opportunity for the partner. Does that make sense? And so our goal is to create a business that helps our partners go direct. And because we're low price, because there's no returns, people don't return products when they work, there's no call center costs as part of the setup. The fee that they pay us gets reduced by eliminating returns and call center costs, and then hopefully we create a great experience that creates good loyalty. And that's kind of how we acquire customers.
What do you do ultimately with that loyalty and the long-term vision of the company? You said you hope that people initially find you on a Best Buy website, but then eventually come to Enjoy. Yeah. Do you want to be a logistics company? Do you?
Yeah. We'd love, if somehow magic happened with Enjoy, which I think will be hard to do, but we're going to work really hard at it. 20 years from now, just like when you think of e-commerce, I think my mind thinks of a brown box with an Amazon logo. That's when I think of e-commerce. I can't separate e-commerce from Amazon. We'd love it when you think of personal commerce. If you thought of that Enjoy expert or Enjoy stylist who might do apparel one day, or an Enjoy esthetician who does skincare, or an Enjoy health nurse who does healthcare. We'd love to be the company known for delivering personal service when you start online. That would be great, but that's going to take a long time.
Do you ever want to deliver a Tesla? Is that in the dream
great.
vision?
No, we've been contacted by 4 or 5 of the major auto companies about that same issue because cars are becoming basically a technology platform. You think of with autonomous vehicles down the road, but even today, you look at it's been 10 years since BMW launched iDrive, which was their first interface. It was kind of clunky at first, which allowed you to do things like sync your music through your iPod and control your navigation. People found it really hard to learn how to do that. And when you go buy a car, it takes a lot of time to pick the right car, to do the financing, to pay for it, and then you just have to go. But the companies have come to us and said, could you 30 days after the person's been driving the car, send someone to their house to just go through all the technology in the car and teach them how to use it? Because ultimately that technology, once you learn how to use it, might be the reason you buy another BMW or you buy another Cadillac. So if you think about a car, it is a technology platform. And, so Tesla would be an interesting one. If you just order a car and someone showed up, drove it to your house, taught you how to use it, it might be going to the dealer, And, but obviously cars have a lot of laws about dealers and how you sell cars, what you can do online and can't. But, I just think you've got to think through, for a product that's a premium product where someone would value some level of service, how do you deliver that in a digital world? And that's what we keep thinking about every day.
I think from a consumer standpoint, you raise a really interesting question in my mind, which is, we have these products and they're in some cases ubiquitous, but a lot of people don't even know the full potential of the product in their hand.
Right.
And you talk about the new iPhone, 67 steps to set it up. Is that different from the old iPhones?
No,
is it fewer about the same?
No, it's about the same.
What do you think of the new iPhone?
I actually think it's probably, I think Tim's right, it's the best iPhone they've ever made.
What do you think of the headphone jack? Or the lack of one?
Honestly, I personally think that's a step that only Apple could do. And it's probably we're going to all look back and say, I'm glad they did it someday, when so many other product features happen because of that's a courageous decision. But I think it's probably the right one. And I think Apple's probably wanted to make it for a long time, but they feel like now's the time where they can make that leap. Obviously, they're sold out of all their pluses. Even in an Apple store, you can't get a plus today, right? So that headphone jack didn't inhibit a lot of people from buying a phone. Now, people might complain about it, but that's what makes Apple unique. That video that I've never seen you played, they think it through. There's 1,000 no's for every yes. They must have said, yeah, can we do this, can we do it? And said, we're going to do it. And they must have concluded it was the right thing for their customer because they care deeply about the customer experience. Apple otherwise wouldn't care if you had So I think it's probably the right decision.
When you look at the current state of retail, you touched on Amazon, Walmart buying Jet.com.
Yeah.
Was that the smartest decision ever or the worst decision ever?
Time will tell. I mean, seriously.
Are we going to see a write-down?
I don't know. Business is not about the idea, it's about the execution, right? So Jet has a really, now, I always thought you'd be crazy to go try to build a business that you'd compete on a lower price than Amazon. With the scale and the head start they had, that seemed like a crazy thing to do. Intellectually, the idea that you charge less when people buy more because it's more efficient to ship, that you might charge differently for a product that happens to be close to when the logistics are right. Intellectually, that might allow you to deliver products at a lower price for a customer than someone like Amazon's trying to do. Well, Jet obviously couldn't do it on its own, but Walmart's got a lot of capital, and Walmart's future's at risk. The world is slowly going online.
They had to do something.
Yeah, and if you think about it, Amazon is Walmart online. It's all it is. When Walmart became a great company, it was broad assortment, low price, convenient. What is Amazon? Broad assortment, fair price, convenient, one-click delivery. Walmart is basically and Amazon are kind of identical choices, but one's online and one's not. Walmart's got to figure out how to jumpstart its e-commerce. It probably decided for the market cap that it has, hundreds of billions of dollars, that a couple $1 billion to learn and get a new model and figure out what parts of that will help our online experience is worth it to do that.
Given that they've tried multiple times organically to do it and it hasn't worked out.
Yeah, it hasn't, but I think you got to remember too, if you're like Walmart and you've got stores within 3 miles of everyone's life, the desire to go buy online from them is a lot lower than if there wasn't a store in the neighborhood, right? So I think it's kind of deceiving to look at a Target and Walmart and say they aren't doing a good job with e-commerce. I think the fact is they did such a good job of making their stores accessible, convenient, the habit people works. I kind of like to pick up that stuff. You know, it's a real tough thing to convince someone to buy online when you've already got that ease of shopping. You know, so that's where I think for them, I think the challenge has been they've all been spending billions of dollars to try to replicate an e-commerce business. I think they should have been figuring out how do you spend billions of dollars to enhance the combination of a store and an e-commerce. I don't know, but it doesn't surprise me that people with 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 stores on every corner, you probably wouldn't have a good online. Like, I don't think 7-Eleven needs an online business. Does that make sense?
But they probably will have an app if they don't already.
Yeah, but I don't think they need you know what I mean? That's kind of interesting.
If you were then, you got your start at Target in the early stages of your career. If you were going to build a company like that tomorrow from the ground up, would it be built on the ground, and how would you even think of it?
Yeah, I think it would be. I think you're going to, I think physical stores are here to stay. And they're going to change, but they're here to stay, right? If you look at a perfect example, how many of you have been to Stanford Shopping Center? Okay. Their traffic is up 40% year over year.
What's driving that?
They remodeled the center, right? So they've expanded the center. They've changed the tenant mix. You go there, it's a lot more restaurant. You not only have a SoulCycle in the front, now you have a Peloton. They've got food. They've got engagement. They've got activity. All the stores they have are pretty interesting. They've got people to build really nice stores. And so what's happening in the physical world is you've got locations like Stanford that are in the epicenter of where a lot of people live and easy to get to, that the Simons, you know, the mall developers are going to put all their money to make those great. And they're going to close all these B and C and D malls. There'll be a massive shutdown of secondary malls. But when your shopping counts, you'll drive further to go to Stanford. So if you're at Stanford today, you'll see, I think 40% of the people there are from the East Bay, right? But the center is a much more fun place to be. I actually like going to Stanford Shopping Center again. It's not because I like to buy in stores, but the experience of the center is pretty terrific. And so therefore, I think you're going to have much lower retail square footage. We've got 14 times the square footage in the US per capita than Great Britain does. In Great Britain, Britain's a robust shopping, you know, economy. We are just way overstored. And it's all these secondary centers. It's like near here. I mean, how many times you drive by a place that has the Toys R Us and the Kohl's and whatever? That thing's destined to become something else, right? But it doesn't mean you couldn't have a really nice Toys R Us store somewhere in the Bay Area to complement your e-commerce strategy. But that Toys R Us will be a different experience. It might be more like FAO Schwartz was in the day. You know, so I think there'll be fewer stores. They'll be very different. They'll be much more experiential. They'll be integrated, but they'll be a part of our world, right? So if you wanted to create a new Target, you know, you probably could imagine something significant physical, but it'd be fewer stores than Target has as a chain today, but you might have 200 to 300 of them that are very productive retail things, is my guess.
How would you optimize the lemonade stand if you were going to build a lemonade stand today?
I'd have, it'd be one simple thing, I'd have great lemonade. I mean, if you're going to win in anything today where there's such abundant choice, it's got to start with your product quality. So if you get the quality right, people will come. You know, so just think of, I'm just using examples around here. If you go to Town and Country Shopping Center, there are lots of interesting new restaurant alternatives, right? And today, people aren't very loyal to things. They love to try new things. They're looking for the next. But most of them have pretty good product. You know, the food's pretty good. Think of Lemonade, the restaurant. You know, that's off to a pretty good start if you've been down on University Avenue, and the way they do their food and the way you order, and it's very popular. But I would focus on the product quality. There's no room today for just distribution strategies. Years ago, you could have secondary products and you won because you put a store near someone who didn't have a store. Today, distribution is filled out, we're overstored. Therefore, you can't win with more distribution, so you've got to win with some other variable, and my guess, that's product.
For you, that variable is clearly customer service. It's
Correct.
the experience. So how do you, in your own mind, work out the tension between the customer is always right and the customer doesn't know what they want?
Well, the customer is always right. And that's where the art of what we do, we all say the art of enjoy is the human connection. So we hire people as much for their EQ as their, I'll say IQ, maybe TQ, technology quotient. You know? But it's their ability to connect with people. And so, for example, every time we go to a customer, they have a different need and a different level of technical proficiency. Some want to help you set it up, some want you to do it on your own. So the art of enjoy is in that first moment when you connect with that customer to kind of make a judgment call as to how do they want the visit to go, you know? And we've got to then have people that can adapt that visit to every customer. So we have an arc to our thing called connect, discover, enjoy. We connect with the customer, we discover what they're interested in, who they are, what they want, but it all ends with magic, which we call joy. You know, it's kind of like that video.
Yeah.
Ends to delight.
It could have come from you.
What's the human emotion? Because ultimately, if you build a great brand, there's an emotional connection, not just an intellectual connection. Apple's strength was, you know, there was always an intellectual connection, but a real visceral emotional connection. When you have that, that's magic. Like I'm sure when you met your husband, there was an intellectual connection.
That's my husband.
There were things
not some random guy in the audience clapping for that.
We've never met, but my guess is he looks pretty good on paper. But you go through a list, here are the things that, you know, this might make sense. But then if there's not an emotional connection, it's just another relationship.
Yeah.
I think that's true with brands too. There are a lot of brands we connect with that are just part of our life. They're very transactional, they're very functional. And then there are some brands that have a deep connection, right? That's where the real sustainable value happens. And so we're trying to do that.
I want to open it up to questions right here in the front.
Yeah, one quick question. Though I'm actually surface transportation focused now, I did work on a startup that didn't go far on a video technology. Like, would you be able to deliver this kind of an experience? I mean, I completely agree with you that you need personal experience. Having a good quality video connection would have helped, like, you know.
Sure.
Today, like, you know, video quality really sucks. Like Skype, like you have to start teaching the guy how to maintain that connection first before he can start explaining the product. You know, some of the problems is like as an entrepreneur, you know, there is a lot of pseudo techies around, like, you know, who don't really understand the technology, but they think they know the technology, like, you know. And that was one of the problems I faced around 8 years ago when I was trying to kind of improve the video quality, working with big companies, trying to make that change happen. But would a good quality video, if you had a video connection with that's scalable enough, you know, would you be able to deliver the same kind of experience for a lot more product?
Oh, you could deliver a better. I mean,
physical
so interestingly, we go to homes, we go to coffee shops, we go to parks, we go any other customer wants. About 70% of the time, they invite us into their home for the Enjoy visit. And we've now done well over 10,000 visits. The number one thing most customers ask about is, can you help me with my Wi-Fi? And it plays to your thing. It's Wi-Fi networks, the inbound. People want higher quality bandwidth, more reliable bandwidth, more secure bandwidth. And I think that's principally for video. You know, it's the speed at which they can download video, watch video. So I think real-time video. So I think the next decade, we obviously know, I mean, video is going to become it. You're already seeing that on a lot of social media sites, right? But to deliver great video, you need extraordinary internet speed and really good Wi-Fi, right? And so I think solving that, right. So I agree with your thesis, but that's something we help out with quite a bit. And we offer, you know, mesh networks from Eero. We're good at Apple Airport networks. So every day we have experts going out into homes, and they can walk through and run speed tests that anyone could do. But most people wouldn't know, I can check the speed of my internet in my kids' rooms. And even if they could figure out it's not as fast, they wouldn't really understand, now how do I go about solving that? And once you know how, it's pretty darn easy. And there are good solutions for that. And that's something we're pretty good at because we're through the door, we're in the home.
All right, questions around the front. Just keep your questions as short as possible because we're short on time.
What's the upsell, cross-sell potential that you have? I mean, once you're in someone's home, you're working on one gadget, people are early adopters, they love the new thing. So how have you trained your people on actually saying, there's that other bike, and this is my favorite product, and things like that?
Yeah, there's huge opportunity, but we're not pushing it very hard yet. We really want people to love their experience. And the moment you start moving to your agenda, people start to feel that. So we're trying to find that logical next thing. So if you have a smartphone, you probably ought to protect it. So you ought to get an insurance program. That's kind of an easy upsell accessory. But with AT&T, the big focus for them, they acquired DirecTV. We're going to be doing a lot with mobile TV. So you got a new smartphone. How would you like to watch football games on your smartphone anywhere you want? So we're looking at the logical extensions of the product you bought in a solution sort of mindset that it really would be good for the customer. But we train our people that over that course of a visit, which could last an hour, there'll be a moment where it makes sense to present an extended solution. But we want to be very careful not to turn our experts into salespeople. And that's just our point of view.
Hi, Ron. Just want to your comments on the tension between, for certain items, you mentioned Best Buy, for example, a TV, where you still really have to have a physical experience with it versus the buying it online. And we're talking about, well, you can go, the producer, Samsung, can go around. Apple has a great solution. They had great stores, and you can buy it online. You go see it. You practice with it in the store. You go buy their product online. I'm just curious about your comment on. Still, there's a tension there.
No, but see, the reality is that you'll always, for a long time, there will be Best Buys. So the people that want to, and they do that today, they'll go to the store and they'll look at TVs. Rarely does someone buy on the day they do the research. Like at Apple, the average person took 4 or 5 visits to the store before they bought a Mac. The day they bought, they knew exactly what size, color, model, memory they wanted. So stores are showrooms, and people will do that, but some will choose online when it comes time to buy. So now, we can do things to ease that. We could do Warby Parker if we wanted, basically, for smartphones. Pick 5, and we'll bring them there and keep the one you want. So we're trying to solve that problem, and we will, but at this point in time, we're not focused on that. It's a great question. I think we're getting run out of time.
I know.
Huh?
We have time for one last question. I'm really sorry to people who had something and didn't get a chance. Okay.
Jeez. No pressure, right?
Make it a good one.
So you mentioned wanting to be there for your customers at the beginning of their digital journey, and I think that's commendable.
Yeah.
But the majority of people who are beginning their digital journey are in emerging markets, which have more or less purchasing power than more saturated markets. Have you thought seriously about expanding to emerging markets? And if so, how do you manage the risks associated with that?
No, we haven't. Because when you start a business, the mistakes I've made in my career, the biggest mistakes I've made have been I moved too fast. We all think things happen overnight. They really don't. It takes a long time to produce a great business or to do something great. The iPod took 4 years before it started to sell. And that was a really important product for Apple, 33 years. Until it went to Windows, nobody bought iPods, right? The smartphone took a long time to take off. So you've got to go slow. But your thesis is correct that emerging markets, lower technology, might need more of an introduction. I think that's probably good. But for us, we've got to prove that we can deliver a person, a product, deliver a great experience. And so we're doing that right now in Miami, in Atlanta, in Houston, in Dallas, in Los Angeles, in San Francisco, in Chicago, in New York, and that's a lot for 16 months. Stay tuned. And so, but the point is, we haven't thought about that yet. Anyway.
Thank you so much. Great questions. I'm sorry we couldn't get to all of them. Appreciate everyone coming this morning, and especially you, Ron. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.